Biafra has always been in existence. Of course, we are not the first to state this. Neither are we the first to believe in our natural abilities to reach our full stature as men and women. Over the years, decades, and centuries, there have been great women and great men from the same value systems, same heritage, same homeland that promoted the general interests of their people. These individuals include from Igala, Ata Ahmed Oboni, the first king of Igala deposed by the British because he would not obey any directive jeopardizing the customs and traditions of his people. Also from Igala, we have courageous women from Akbanya, where Igala women, alongside Igbo women, revolted against the colonialists in 1940, mobilizing against contemptuous economic policies of the British. Neighbors west of Biafra, in the autonomous and glorious kingdom of Benin, also saw one of their own, Oba Nobaisi, equally oppose foreign rule, only to be exiled to Calabar. Interesting, his first name, Obanramman, meaning the rising sun. From Ijao, we have King Koko of Nembe, brave and fearless, and so on and so forth. However, within the last 100 years, among many, there were two pillars, two colossus, two good men, with numerous similarities, yet a few deep differences that will polarize the political and potentially overall psyche of all Biafrans till date, or rather, until the arrival of the renewed movement for independent and free Biafra. Dr. Benjamin Nnamdi Azikiwe, and General Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, along with their legacies, continue to live with us, even as we continue with our unstoppable movement, taking from them what worked and what didn't work during their time as leaders. Both men born in the same Ariwa town of Zungeru, both noted as being first fluent in Hausa language, both born to influential fathers that served in one capacity or the other in the colonial administration, hailing from neighboring provinces of Nnewi and Onitsha. Both men schooling abroad, with Zik, as Azikiwe is fondly referred to, bagging several advanced degrees from the United States, while Emeka receiving military and academic training from the United Kingdom, including a degree from Oxford. Both men serving as regional administrators of the former Eastern region. Both Zik and Emeka at one time serving as head of state of a nation, one created by its people, the other created by its conquerors. Both men fighting to promote and protect freedom of their people. Both men denied by the then powers that be to actualize their mandate and that of their people, schemed out and blockaded both on the battlefield and on the ballot. Both men without a trace of corruption, embezzlement, nepotism, greed, and the ills that have become the norms in the Niger area and continents. Both men transparent and honest by both public and private accounts. Both men admonished by many, yet beloved by millions, even in death considered as legends, respected by their political gladiator foes. Zik of Africa, given a state burial as Owele of Onitsha, and Ojukwu, the Ikemba of Nnewi, a state burial as Ezigbo Budubudu. In their 70s, Ikemba and Zik ran for president of the Niger area, of course, unsuccessfully. Despite encouragements and deterrents to do so, reasons as to why, as we see it, leads us to the few grave differences that set them apart, creating the camps of Biafran Unionists and Biafran Nationalists. Most people outside of the Biafran realm, but within the Niger area contraption, know Zik as being the first president and founding father of Nigeria. Yes, he was the first president among many other firsts for an indigenous African. Yet, ceremonial was attached on paper before the word president, making Zik more or less a paper president, being the ceremonial head of state, while the actual head of government, in the person of Abubakar Tafawa Balewa, was the ruler. Furthermore, Zik was not the father of Nigeria, nor was Balewa, Pa Awolowo, or Samadu Bello, but instead Frederick John Lugard, first Baron, Governor General of Niger area, whose wife, then mistress, Flora Shaw, is credited as naming the area permanently Nigeria. The two would describe the typical African, among other things, as thriftless, full of personal vanity, lacking self-control, with little veracity. Nevertheless, Zik was far from those descriptions, believing that his people were like him, hardworking, fair, education-seeking. He believed in a new Africa that would have spiritual balance, social regeneration, economic determinism, and would divorce ethnic affiliations. Zik wrote many Black Pride articles and papers, including The Inside Stuff by Zik, and finally founded in 1937 the West African Pilots, promoting a utopian Pan-African worldview, also highlighting injustice to Africans and nationalism for Nigeria. That was Nnamdi Azikiwe, a champion for all, willing to work with and for others, willing to compromise, in the hope that everyone will be everyone else's keeper. Ojukwu spent a good portion of his upbringing outside of the eastern region. Again, a large amount of people from the Niger area were taught or encouraged to believe he was simply a person wey one fight Naija for olden days, or in other words, chose to wake up one day and fight Nigeria. Ikemba, like Zik, believed in the ability of his people, believed in compromise and working with others. Unlike the idealistic approach of Zik, Ikemba's approach was more realistic, based on mutual respect and assuring no one was being cheated. As a youth, Ojukwu was reported to have been briefly imprisoned because he humiliated a British teacher for assaulting a Black woman. Like Zik, Ojukwu studied abroad and upon return to the Niger area, joined the military, serving in the Congo under General Ironsi, and ultimately being posted to Kanu as commanding officer of the 5th Battalion. When approached by the Coupist leadership on January 1966, Ojukwu could have compromised with them, but did not. He did not believe that what they were doing or tried to do was right. 6 months later, another set of Coupists, that the government was no more, Ojukwu again could have compromised and joined, but did not. Zik, on the other hand, unlike his contemporaries that were interested in consolidating their own region and home nation first and foremost, was already campaigning and contesting elections among the action group Yoruba-dominated areas. Although he won a regional assembly seat in Lagos, he was denied representing the district at the National Assembly and became leader of the opposition to the government of Awolowo. Instead of remaining there or even bowing out of politics for the time being, Zik went back to the east, which caused a rift in the then NCNC regional party in the east, whose leadership tried to retain Zik's influence and stature. Zik would then ally with Adiwa for the next upcoming decades. Perhaps this alliance and mindset of fighting for others, even more than yourself and people, while others are doing the opposite, was what ultimately caused Zik to never implement his utopian blueprint. Zik was educated. He knew the culture, mannerism, and ways of people from Adiwa and Oduduwa. Yet, he thought he would somehow overcome the obvious different value systems. His people followed him, since he was one of the few that studied abroad. Had he thought exclusively more towards home, today we will be talking about something different for Africa as a whole. Ojukwu thought of home. He too knew the characteristics of the neighboring home nations and knew the strengths and weaknesses of his people, even coming to know that people would not always do what is right when the time comes and may join the enemy. At 33, an age where many men today enjoy the comforts and luxury of bars, sports, parties, Ojukwu was faced with the incredible task of safeguarding over 14 million people as a result of Zik's failure within the framework of a false One Nigeria that was never intended to benefit anyone outside of those who created it. Ojukwu, returning from exile and contesting election in 1983, was itself a statement of no more Zik-style politics in the East, and again in 2003 and 2007 as a statement of rejection of the One Nigeria Eastern politicians who could not attain anything during that time except a weak and chaotic Senate presidency tenure. Interestingly, Obasanjo would win the majority of votes in Ikemba's Anambra State, despite Ikemba's rejection as a party's presidential candidate a few months prior. Today, we continue to see the Zikist-style leadership all across our homeland, among governors, legislators, candidates for election, businesses, sports, education, entertainment, and the likes. In fact, their style of Zikism is akin to Islamic fundamentalism in the sense that such fundamentalism is an extreme practice and possible excuse to do what mainstream Muslims would not agree with. Not serving the interests of your people in Biafra, protecting criminals in Nigeria, serving godfathers and doing their bidding, stealing and looting, cracking down on pro-Biafran groups, and simply not performing, all excuses by the lie of being a Zikist by many of our visible elites. On the contrary, being an Ikembaist, meaning always putting your people's life, property, security, interest, opportunity, and welfare above your personal interests and needs. It also includes the ability to do such by seeing and accepting the realities on ground without letting emotions, ego, passion, and altruism for fictitious creations to get the better of you or your people. If Zik and Ojukwu could have swapped positions, Ojukwu being president of Niger area and Zik president of Biafra, my prediction would be that the Niger area citizens would have been granted a peaceful referendum to form their own independent states under Ojukwu, and that Biafra then would have been a viable united country of various yet similar cousin states with the formation of united African unions and organizations reflecting the normal borders of the people. What about you? You decide. What would be your own predictions? We shall continue.